Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun.
Good morning. I don't have the microphone set up correctly here. How are you? Win says, oh, video is unlisted. Okay, I just barely fixed that. I don't know what's wrong with me today. I just didn't get it in time, I guess. And you know what? Also, this camera just seems just a little dim. Should we fix that? Let's fix that a little bit. Let's go up to 20% over here. Yeah. 20%. We'll leave the link right alone. Okay. Anyways, it is Monday. I actually got an okay looking week of news ahead of us, and we are like getting into the end of the month. So, in November having a Federal Reserve meeting is going to be a very important month. Chicago Fed National Activity Index coming up here in a minute. It's usually not a huge number, but we're looking for spot 29. And the Treasuries, by the way, are selling pretty hard again here on the open again. You look big on screen. I probably, I have it a little bit. Let me do that. We'll back out just a little bit. Anyways, let's go to the charts. I'm not going to worry too much about that news that's coming out here. E-mini kind of had a difficult day on Friday, trending back up in the overnight action. Treasuries, they had a pretty big, come back up. I don't know. It turned into a risk-off day, so the Treasuries moved up. Wasn't like a massive move by any means, but it was. Now we are getting some pretty decent downside here as we start out. And by the way, flattening. Again, flattening. Okay. Which does not suggest much confidence in the much longer term. Okay. Oil is on the run again. Goldman Sachs had an $80-$90 price target at the end of the year, but they're saying that they have upside risks to it now. So we're moving up. We're also seeing natural gas up pretty big over the weekend. That is a big gap right there. That could run away from them. Gold and silver. So gold and silver had a pretty big move on Friday at points, but came back and they're marginally higher. Here you can see it in silver as well. Copper, not looking so hot. China getting hit pretty hard by a COVID wave. It's in like 11 provinces now, so that is a problem. Then we come over to Bitcoin. In Bitcoin, there was a massive fat finger trade on Friday that pushed them down. They do appear to be recovering from that little mishap. And here in the currencies, we're getting a pretty large move this morning in the euro, and the dollar is strengthening. Maybe they are able to make it to 94 again today. That would definitely keep things interesting, wouldn't it? Ace, you're here early. How are you? Uzi, I slept too much this weekend. I feel like I was hit by a bus. Oh man, I feel you. So when I start to get when my inflammation hits, moves up from my gut because I'm not taking the medication. It doesn't come until Tuesday. It tends to make me very, very sleepy. And I did not get nearly as much as I wanted done this weekend, man. Not even close to as much as I wanted. He just wanted to get you too early. Well, I don't know, man. It moves a lot different now than it does in like the. Oops. It's a much different game at this moment than it is in 30 minutes when you usually play. Well, let's see what happens. He may still get it. Now, the other thing I didn't cover is that the DWAC. So DWAC on Friday just had some absolutely loony opening moves, right? I mean, that's loony. $170 a share. Now, apparently, two of the big hedge funds that were kind of involved in getting this thing started cashed out on that day. So that probably explains, I mean, this right here, that's liquidity, but then this, yeah, I mean, that could totally be a large meta order selling. But now, this morning after the weekend in the overnight, they are up big again with prices above 100. Donald Trump Jr. was pumping the stock on Fox over the weekend. I do think that some of the people that would want to buy this stock are going to be a little bit behind, So I think that there's a good possibility that we have another further run today. And of course, there's still like the longer term, like this should be worth $1,000 if it becomes as big as Snapchat. So you got that running too. Although I got to tell you what. The more I look at it, I wouldn't say that it's a scam. I see a lot of people saying, "Oh, you guys are going to get scammed." It's not a scam, but it is a very, very risky venture. They literally, looks to me like they literally went out like 2 weeks ago and said, "Okay, let's do the social media company. You guys got 2 weeks before we go live." Put together whatever they could in the 2 weeks and then went live with this back. Like, I really think that's it. There's like nothing behind the company. There was apparently an instance of Mastodon set up behind the scenes, but yeah, I didn't know how serious that was or if that was intended to be the long-term website or what. But like I said, it's a big risky play. But the thing is that they're making so much money off of this now with the price. Even if the price just where it's at now, they're going to have so much money to work with that, again, it kind of makes it happen. So that's kind of where we're at with that one. I feel like I put this a little bit too high and a little bit too close. Let's do that. Get it a little bit more upright. I hope your weekend did not include puppies in boxes. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I believe that what Winston is talking about is that people have been digging more and more into some of the funding that the National Institute of Health has been doing, because Fauci was saying, no, we weren't supporting gain of function research, even though basically it looks like that they were, although it depends on what definition that you're using. So, Fauci testified to Congress and he said, well, by our definition, that's not gain of function research. And then Paul was like, how is this not? Like, this is exactly the problem that we're concerned about. Anyways, so people kept digging, and apparently now the piece of news that I saw over the weekend, and I don't know, I'm sure that there's probably some context to be had here, but apparently these guys were doing an experiment where they basically tied puppies down and let flies eat them to death. Like, they cut out their voice boxes so that they couldn't bark, and they let the flies eat the puppies to death. And so now this morning, everybody is saying that Fauci should be fired and arrested and whatnot because of allowing this kind of research to get funded. I like this push towards making science the boogeyman, especially Dr. Fauci, when politicians back big money push to mistrust science. We know, well, no, I don't think that it's a mistrust of science, though, when I think that's kind of a misinterpretation of what's going on. I believe that it's ultimately a distrust of power. People are saying that as great as science can be, it's still very unwise to give them a ton of power, because they will abuse it just like anybody else. Yeah, the details maybe matter. Well, let's see what's... So you were saying something about Snopes. Let's see if there's something on the Snopes front page about it. No, I don't see anything about it on Snopes. I could just search Google because they're gonna give you the whatever. Oh, well, it looks like what I'm seeing on Google is only from right-wing outlets. That's interesting. According to documents obtained via a Freedom of Information Act request by taxpayer watchdog group White Coat Waste Project, the subsequent media coverage from October 2018 until February 2019, NIAID spent $1.68 million in taxpayer funds on drug tests involving 44 beagle puppies. The letter on Thursday reads, the White Coat Waste Project report claimed that the researchers locked the dogs in cages with hungry sandflies so that the insects could eat them alive. Some of the pooches were also allegedly injected with disease-causing parasites. The commission tests involved injecting and force-feeding the puppies an experimental drug for several weeks before killing and dissecting them, lawmakers wrote. The bipartisan group also raised concerns about allegations that scientists slit dogs' vocal cords so that they wouldn't bark during the experiments. The cruel procedure, which is opposed with rare exceptions by the American Veterinary Medical Association, the American Animal Hospital Association, and others, seems to have been performed so that experimenters would not have to listen to the pained cries of the beagle puppies. This is a reprehensible misuse of taxpayer funds, the letter said. So, that's what we know. Science is like a tool, yeah, but I really have to push back against... There seems to be a group of people out there that seem to think that science is infallible or something. But science can be used as a tool to oppress and take away your rights just like anything else can, just like religion can or any belief. It can become a power tool. Right. And so I think what people are saying here is that, like, you're trying to give the scientists all of the power so that the scientists can then turn around and take away our rights and say, well, because of science, you can't leave your house anymore. Because of science, you can't visit with people or go outside without a face mask anymore, and so on and so forth. And I think that it's a good point that you have to come out and say, like, yeah, but the science is never allowed to overrule the Constitution. Although it gets a little fuzzy about, has the Constitution been violated or not? And I think in the United States, maybe some areas kind of went a little bit too far, but I didn't necessarily see too many cases where the Supreme Court knocked something down, except for when they were saying you can't go to church, but you can go to a stripper joint or whatever it was. But although I would have to say that in Australia, they definitely went too far. In Australia, it's like if you say the government is not your friend and you post it on social media, they come to your house. Like, I've said things on this stream that would have the Australian authorities coming over to my house and showing me what I said. It's pretty crazy over there. So it's not necessarily anti-science. If anything, they're saying that there's some faulty science out there, maybe. How should I deal with this dwack thing? I don't want to make it like the whole screen. I guess I could put it... I don't know. I want you guys to be able to see it. I don't really feel like taking a trade over in the Treasuries. So I suppose we could keep it up. I don't have dwack in the title either. It's progress, Seth. Progress me straight to the gulag, daddy. We weren't afraid to get vaccinations to go to exotic spots 20 or 30 years ago. We send our children to school and vaccinate them first. This push to mistrust science is showing mistrust. Well, but it's like that's the one that I think is really funny is that, you know, I don't think that it would have really been that big of a deal if they hadn't doing all this stupid, crazy stuff, right? Like people would be totally okay with it being a vaccine, even it being an experimental vaccine. It really bothers me that it's like you get vaccinated, but we can't sue you because it's experimental. I don't think that that's right. At this point, anybody that's getting the vaccine, that if they experienced a problem, I think that they should be able to sue. I think that it's gotten to that part and it's widespread that I don't think that they should have a liability shield anymore. But it wasn't that. It was when they started to turn around and say, oh, and if you don't have the vaccine, then we're not going to let you do anything. We want to have these passports and like you're not even going to be able to go to the supermarket. I mean, I think only one place actually went as far as to say like you can't even come into the supermarket if you're not vaccinated. But that was where it kind of turned. Okay. And frankly, I think that this idea that like we need to ban people from public, I don't believe that that is scientific, and I don't believe that that is moral or appropriate. And that's what turned people against the vaccine, man. I'm telling you. It was all of a sudden when it turned into you have to take this or we'll take away your rights. You know, it's like reverse psychology kind of stuff, right? From Australia, soldiers are knocking on doors to check if people are isolating. Yeah, I got to tell you, for so many years, I saw people talking about, you know, Australia, they got this great setup and they got rid of guns and they're not having any problems. And, you know, people in America, they should try and let their government be more like Australia. This is a model to follow. And now I go look up Australia and I'm like, you guys are such an effing joke. Everything you've said over the last 10, 20 years about Australia has turned out to be dead wrong. It is just absolutely ridiculous over there what the government is doing. You know what was the other part? The other thing that I think really hurt, you know, caused a lot of people to become anti-vaccine was the refusal to acknowledge natural immunity, right? That felt to me more like a cash grab than it was science. You know what I mean? Wow, you don't believe him? You gotta be kidding me. It is literally happening. Oh my gosh. So on TikTok, there was this video guy, the police come to his flat. They have a piece of paper and it has pictures of stuff that he posted on Instagram. And one of the images had an image of people protesting and being hurt in the protests or something like that. And it said, the government doesn't care about you, was what the post was. The police was coming to his door and confronting him for posting that on Instagram. No cap. Can you freaking believe that? It is insane what is going on in Australia. And this is a case where just kind of digging your head in the sand and saying, I don't believe it, is not an acceptable answer. Like if you don't believe it, then you better go and look at what's going on, because it is scary. they would love to have that here, but I hope that the American people will never allow it like the Australians have. 2022 will be the year of surveillance. That Nala is still looking a little bullish, wouldn't you say? E-mini still pretty quiet. Still right where we were, actually. Can I ask, do you That was another one that I find startling. Man, I'm like, it's only this one thing, but then I keep coming up with things that I've seen that are like, no, that's not right, that's not right, that's not right, that's not right. These are reasons why people are skeptical. Privacy, like healthcare privacy. Oh my gosh, I work for a healthcare company, okay? The amount of stuff that we have to do to ensure that customer privacy is respected and upheld is crazy. Like, there are really stringent and quite frankly burdensome regulations about how we have to develop our software and the kind of controls that we have to have and the regulatory checks and testing and so on and so forth to protect their privacy. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh, but whether or not you're vaccinated, that's not private. Was really bizarre to me. Want to ask me other questions about my health? Here's the problem with this kind of response, Ace, is that, like, what you're saying, like, okay, somebody makes a claim, I doubt that. Okay, if this was like the year 1995, when you and I grew up and we were kids on the playground, and somebody said something that you didn't believe, and you could say, yeah, I don't think that you're actually right. We could go and look at the encyclopedia maybe, but like, what's that going to do, right? Okay. But now we have the internet, and you could very quickly Google and look that up, right? and find a counter argument to it instead of just saying, I doubt it, right? Like, I doubt it is not really a very effective argument anymore just because it's so easy to look things up. It's called skepticism? No, it's called just actually fucking knowing, right? Like, yeah, have skepticism, but the skepticism is for the part where you read it and then you go over to your Google search box and you go and you search it. And then by the time you respond, you should already know whether or not that thing is true or not, right? Yeah, there you go. Why don't you just look into the things instead of... But I do look things up, and I've been right about everything. I present straight facts here, right? And I don't just make claims. Like, I can go back and I can show you where it comes from. Sometimes there are things that are pretty what is it, weird. There are on occasion some pretty not widely distributed thoughts, and it can or reports of things, and it can be hard to find it again. But I just find it so frustrating. It's not just Ace, but I just find it so frustrating. So many people think that I just make this stuff up, you know. like a good example is like when I talk about the square root law of market impact. Like, this is something that market researchers in universities and large financial corporations, they've been studying this for like 35 years now, and what the market shows is that there is a square root law of meta order impact, which is that when you have a large meta order, the impact that the meta order has on the market follows a square root law based on it's the square root of the size of the meta order over the volume for the period. And people think that this is like not, they don't believe it. Well, like, you think that I would make something like that up? And yeah, you can look it up. It's funny because that one's funny because I think a lot of traders just go, well, I've never heard that before, so it must not be true. Well, it's because you're looking at bullshit instead of real research. Okay, so sorry about that. I just got disconnected really quickly. This has been happening a lot lately. Hold on a second. Stream crapped out while you were making a face. Well, you know what? This keeps happening. I think we should call my internet service provider, because I'm kind of wondering if something's going on. Maybe we're getting attacked or something. Let's see here. They don't always respond this early in the day. I'll do it by phone. I was like, I could do it through Google Voice and I wouldn't have to get off of here, but no, I'm going to do it here. No, I should turn on the robots.
For support, please stay on the line or press 4. If you know your party's extension, you may dial it at any time. Did you know that you can change your password and view your services 24/7 online by visiting xmission.com/control? If you do not have access to your login, please ask the next available agent. Did you know that you can change your password and view your services 24/7 online by visiting xmission.com/control?
Well, I'm just going to leave that going. Oh, I'm getting transferred. Worst time to run out of bed or what? Yes, I have been having service disruptions in the morning around this time. I just had one. So I stream and day trade in the morning, and I'll lose my connection to YouTube. I will lose my connection to my data feed. And this has happened about 3 times in a row. And I'm not sure if it's like a disruption on your end, or I'm kind of concerned about like maybe service denial attacks or something like that.
Block sell.
Well, he didn't see anything like clearly wrong, so we'll reset the connection. We'll like restart everything later the day after we're done with this. Okay, so there was a pretty big block sell at 09, but like they are like reversing off of it. That's kind of interesting. I don't see a strong reason for Treasuries to be selling crazy hard at the moment, but they're doing it. You know, I should turn on, not have the squawks and stuff going on here. Let's come back and check on DWAC here. 113. Good grief. This thing is going to go crazy. How do you feel about taxing unrealized gains? It is getting a little crazy to me. All of the schemes that the Democrats are trying to come up with to kind of pull more money out here. Like, I mean, just forget whether this is a good idea or a bad idea for a second, right? The extent that Democrats are having to go through to try and pay for things is a little bit crazy, right? This is the thing that people have always been kind of saying that like they never say in the media, but like we all kind of know that you can't pay for all of this just by taxing the rich, right? They're having to try and come up with new taxes to try and nickel and dime their way through this. That the reality is that there's no way to pay for some of the things that the Democrats want to do without taxing the middle class. And they're just kind of doing everything they can, avoiding taxing the middle class. But eventually they're going to run out of, ideas. Okay, well, that 09, there was a big order there. I think that might get us stuck there for a bit. Kind of, it looks like it's already happening, right? There was a big order, and now what? They are only willing to put 300 lots up. Either way. Have you seen how much money the corporation spent on buying back stocks during the lockdown period? Well, I haven't seen that in particular, but companies are definitely buying back a lot of stock these days. I am kind of a little I don't think that you should be allowed to buy back stock. I shouldn't say you shouldn't be allowed to buy back stock, but like, how do I put this? We want an efficient market, right? And what we mean by efficient market is that we want the current price to reflect all available information as best as possible. Okay. Well, when you have things like stock buybacks, that makes the market less efficient, right? That allows the company to push up the price of their company beyond what is probably justified by the fundamentals. And ergo creates an inefficiency. So like the politicians, they just see that as something more that they can tax. Okay, but doesn't really solve the problem, does it? Taxing money people don't have, only to tax it again when they do have it, just sounds like a giant F to you. Yeah, but what's going on is that well, first of all, Democrats need money. Okay. But then the second thing is that people online are going through all of these things and going, oh, so this is how the rich are able to avoid taxes. And we people that get taxed on our payroll, we're not able to do anything to avoid the taxes. And so they're trying to find ways to even things out. So one of the things that the rich will do is they'll buy stocks, they'll make tons of money on their stock, but then you don't want to get taxed, so you just never sell the stock. You go and you borrow money against the stock, like you use a margin and borrow money against the stock, and then that just gets paid back as the stock increases in value, and you get to deduct the interest from your taxes, right? And then you put that stock into a trust so that you can pass it off to your children tax-free, and they never have to pay the capital gains tax on it. And then they just do the same thing. And so they're saying, well, how do we fix that problem? Let's just tax them even if they haven't sold. I mean, I don't know how else you would do it, right? Curious how having unrealized gains taxable would affect taxes. Well, it would almost certainly cause selling, right? It would depress prices. Oh man. Okay, so Spot Gamma tweets the highest at DWAC strike is only 150. I agree. They should have gone up to 250. I can't believe that they only allowed up to 150 because they're opening up options on Dwack today, and the highest call strike that you can get is lower than Friday's high. Okay, Dodd, is there a video in which you explain what to look for and or a trading strategy? You know what? Oh my gosh. So I was recording this weekend, and one of the videos that I recorded was like just the perfect video for you. But I screwed up the audio, and so I scratched it all. But I do have a series of videos about developing your own strategies. So it's kind of taken from a computer programming approach, but it very much applies to you in terms of developing your own strategy from a discretionary point of view. Now, the video that I was making was about what the DOM is and how you use it. So I'll give you a couple of the tips that I was putting in that video. Okay, so as you're watching the DOM here, first of all, remember that there are three forces, right? There are limit orders adding, there are limit orders pulling, and there are market orders, okay? So when you see the DOM here, this orange-red column, those are limit sell orders. So those are people waiting to sell at a specific price, and in order for them to get filled, they have to be hit by a market order buying in at that price, right? Okay, and vice versa over here, this blue column, these are limit buys. Okay, so you can add a limit order, you can cancel a limit order, or you can use a market order. So those are the three forces that we're watching. Okay, there's really six forces when you include all of the buys and sells. Okay, so that's the first thing. The next thing is you need to watch correlated instruments. Okay, because you might see price tick up, And here in the Treasuries, for instance, these are all very correlated. So you can see here the 10-year ticked up, but look, the 5 and the 30 did not yet. Although they're pretty good chance that they could. Okay. But I also want to watch the correlation with the 6J. That's this little kind of weird column right here, right? So I can see if the 6J were to start ticking up, you should see the Treasuries start to tick up as well. And you'll probably see the Treasuries tick up with very little resistance. Like they won't take a lot of volume for them to do so. And that is because the robots are pulling and moving their bids and offers and everything based on the correlation with the 6J. So you have to be able to watch the correlation to understand what's going on with those three forces in the order flow that we're talking about, right? The other thing that you got to keep in mind is that a lot of the game that you see on the DOM here is all about getting the best spot in line. So if we were to tick up, somebody just came out of nowhere and bought 3,000 contracts and made us tick up at 130.10. Okay, you will almost always see a bunch of orders stack at 09.5. And it's not because they think they're going to get filled or they want to buy there. What they're doing is they're trying to get a good spot in line. So then if things changed and we were to tick back down, those orders would like almost immediately cancel. And you would see orders at 09 immediately cancel. You'll always see a certain number cancel just because those guys are only trying to get a good spot in line, right? So that's another thing that you really have to watch that I think a lot of people, they don't realize when they first start watching order flow that you kind of have to discount, right? And then the last thing that I would watch is you want to try and keep track of large meta orders. So a large meta order is an order that is so large it can't be executed all at once. They have to like split it up over time, okay? So they do that to try and hide what they're doing. But after they're done doing it, you can definitely see the effects. I mean, if somebody buys a bunch of contracts, it's going to move price up generally overall. And so what I can do is I can see that there was a meta order. So here this morning, there was a large meta order going short. To some extent, there was a large meta order going short here in the Treasuries. So then when we identify a flow like that, we want to try and come up with theories about what might have caused that flow, okay? So it could be just retracing Friday's move. It could be that people are preparing for a hawkish Federal Reserve. I don't know. I don't really see anything today on the docket. Well, we do get New York Fed Treasury purchases 22.5 to 30 years. So they could be betting on that. I don't know. At this moment, I don't really have very good reasons for why they might be selling the way that they did. So that's a part of why I haven't done anything, right? But then, what will happen is you'll see other moves and you can try and use those moves to confirm or deny your theories, right? So we can come in and we can say, a piece of news came out and then we moved it down. So because the news was so very closely associated with the move's beginning, then we can make a pretty good bet that is probably the main reason that caused that. Or we might know about certain flows that tend to happen, like we know that at the end of the month they tend to buy treasuries, like the last day, 2 days, first day of the month, they tend to buy, right? And when we are able to piece all of those things together, then we can look at a chart and we can say, okay, well, this move happened because they think this, but then this move happened just because they needed it to do business. So this move doesn't really tell us anything about the market, what people think about the market, right? It just needed to happen because of business sake. And that could be a potential informational inefficiency, right? There could be something like, oh, the Federal Reserve is going to taper and start raising interest rates, and the market does not correctly price that into the interest rate that they have right now because last week they were buying up for the auction and the end of the month and so on and so forth. And so now that flow is passed, we should see the interest rates rise, right? And you can kind of do that gaming out. So as you are watching the order flow, those are the things that you want to be doing. And the biggest piece of advice that I can give you, the key insight that is the most important thing to realize is this: orders move price. I'll say it again: orders move price. Okay. A lot of people will want to come in and have some, idea, these preconceived ideas about what they want the trade to look like, that, it doesn't conform. Okay. Like this Donald Trump SPAC thing is like a great example. It's like, well, I would love to go and catch this huge winner on a new social media company that's starting, but because it's Donald Trump, I don't like that. Okay. It doesn't matter. Whether it was Donald Trump or not, it doesn't matter. All that matters is, what are the orders that are going to look like this morning, right? The only thing that matters is, what are the orders going to be this morning that is going to affect the price, right? That's the only thing we, on our time frame, care about, is what will the orders look like, okay? And that's how you develop. Those are the big things, pieces that you need to start developing more effective strategies. So I probably went like way too into that. That took a little bit, but I wish that I had done it as well when I was recording it yesterday. High volumes is all I care about participants in. I mean, you want to know whether they're going to be buying or selling, right? David says that was a great explanation. Thanks. I'm glad that that helped. Who Moved My Cheese was a nice book we read at work one year. Okay, so what are you talking about here? Trickle-down economics made sense to me back when I first registered as a Republican. I don't see it working for the average man. Manufacturing jobs moved overseas, and we did not prepare the middleman who was a manager or the guy who once worked with a wrench. I don't know about that. So, like, the thing that's kind of weird about all of that is that the manufacturing jobs didn't disappear. They just moved to China. They moved to China because it was cheaper over there. Do you also watch the charts? Well, I mean, I have some charts, but you gotta realize that what you see in price is a lot of noise. Honestly, a lot of it is noise, because orders move price, and how much orders are going to move price, how much a market order moves price depends on what the liquidity looks like at that time, right? And the liquidity is constantly changing, and as you have a big move up, that affects the liquidity a lot and changes how it's moving and stuff. And so you can, like, look at this DWAC thing, right? Okay, this morning or Friday morning, we had this huge move up and then this huge move down. But guess what? Like, there was halts every step. Like, it was only open for a few seconds and then they would halt it. Okay. So, like, there wasn't the liquidity. So guess what? All of this, it doesn't matter because it was all happening during low liquidity. It's just noise. It's like practically random. So if you watch orders, you can kind of get an idea, like, what is it doing? What are people doing? And why might they be doing it? But if you try and do the same analysis using only price alone, you're not going to understand. So people are always trying to run these machine algorithms or do like charting and stuff. And they say, well, I want to do this chart and it tends to work out this way. But when you actually go into the stats and you really do a real statistical analysis of it, you find that it's just like random behavior. Price tends to be random because orders move price so much. The orders have such a large impact on price that, And this idea that like you can pull this informational content out of what price has done in its past history is really kind of iffy, right? Because the orders, there's just too much noise to really actually be trying to pull that information out. All right, so I have charts to remind me what's going on, right? Like I can come over here and I can say, okay, yeah, we moved down. How much volume was behind it? Well, I mean, it was a little bit, but look, it bounced back up. I remember I was saying, well, I don't really know why it would be moving this way, so I'm not doing anything. Maybe there was no reason. Maybe it was just random because it's coming right back up, right? It just retracing that move kind of does suggest that maybe it was just random, right? So, yeah, anybody that claims to be able to predict what something is going to do based on past price history, I would treat them with high suspicion, because all of the empirical research that we have suggests that that doesn't work. Anyways, so when was talking about trickle down, here's the thing with trickle down. Nobody in modern economics believes in trickle down. Nobody. Republicans don't believe in trickle down economics. Trickle down economics was an idea that died during the Great Depression. Okay. What did happen, what Republicans do believe in, is supply side economics, which is different. The Democrats have been on this big campaign to brand supply side economics as trickle down theory, which is just not the case. It's just not the case. What trickle down economics says is that if all you do is increase demand, the supply side won't be able to keep up with the demand, and then you'll get all of these supply chain bottlenecks and higher prices and inflation as a result of this, and that's what was happening during the 70s. And so if we want to stimulate the economy, it behooves us to put that stimulus into the supply side of the economy, which is the people that are creating the things and are getting the things around, and use them to build their, give them money to build their businesses up. And then when you do that, it actually creates demand because their workers go out, are making more money, and then their workers go out and buy things. And I think that what we've had recently over this whole COVID thing is a really, really great use case example in favor of supply side economics, because the Democrats only put stimulus into the demand side and in small businesses, and the supply chain was not ready for it. And so all of that stimulus that we have put in, it's looking like they are just not, we're not going to get the benefit from it. It's just going down the tube because the supply chain can't keep up. Yeah. Now, I would argue the thing that I've seen is that supply side measures don't have a very high multiplier. For instance, extending unemployment benefits, that seems to have a very high multiplier, very strong stimulative effect on the economy. So I think that increasing those employment benefits during times of recession, that makes a lot of sense, right? Whereas supply side measures kind of don't have as high of a measure, multiple. This is the thing that when you go into Keynesian economics, and there's all these formulas for this, right? How they calculate what the multiplier is. Okay. And I think that you need a little bit of both. You need the demand side, because the demand side has a higher multiplier and you get more out of it. But you also have to have the supply side so that the supply side can keep up with the demand side, right? You need both. And Democrats insisted that it just only be demand, because they were absolutely convinced that, if we just give everybody free money, that will make the economy great. And what are we finding? Well, it doesn't last. It doesn't last because they spend all of the money and then the stimulus is gone. Don't go and buy Ross Cameron's course. Give me a freaking break. Why are we talking about him? I don't want to talk about him. I know there's lots of courses. Maybe they're worth money or not, but I would say you don't need them. The most useful things that I've learned were not in courses. They were in research studies and really complicated books, and you wouldn't even necessarily understand the significance of them. And it kind of takes somebody that's able to see the connections between things and everything to see how it relates to an effective trading strategy. He's stream, yeah. So why do we care about that? What about a K economy? Do you see us developing into a K economy? Well, so the people at the very, very lowest rungs of the economy, I don't know what to do for them. Right? I'm a little, the other day I was at Walmart and I was just buying a flash card, so I had to go to the back because they have to take it out and everything. And you could tell this guy was like my age. He didn't look very healthy, but he was like my age, and he was at Walmart. Okay, so Walmart in my mind was always like a job for teenagers. I thought, you're a teenager, you can't work anywhere else. You work at Walmart just to establish that you can work somewhere and that you're a good employee. So that's what I did when I was a kid. When I was in college, like I worked at CompUSA. I worked in a retail store. Maybe if you're a techie guy now, you'd work at Best Buy, right? That's CompUSA is like Best Buy. They got taken out by Best Buy basically. Best Buy crushed their business. Okay. But then you graduate from school and you get a better job, or you're developing some sort of a skill and you move up. And I see, though, every day, there's this large group of people that aren't doing that for whatever reason. Now, if you're an immigrant, it would be understandable, right? Because you're just starting out. You're starting out later, but you're still just starting out. But no, I'm seeing these people that like they've just been working at Walmart for like 20 years, right? And these are the people that like we're kind of talking about a lot in terms of like these problems where like the pandemic came and they got screwed hard, right? And everybody else at the top, like where I'm at, because I'm a software developer, right? Software developers doing pretty good during the pandemic. We didn't lose our jobs. We just kept working through it. And it seems that now after the pandemic, that the demand for IT and software development services is higher than ever, right? So that's what you mean by the K, right? I don't know what you do about that. I mean, is it the case that there are just not enough of those higher skilled jobs outside of science and engineering? It could be. I mean, that's kind of the way that our economy developed, right? Because those nice jobs would have been like, manufacturing jobs, working like metalworks and this sort of a thing, right? Those are where these guys should be going, and that we don't have that in the United States anymore, and I think it's a real problem. So, I think this kind of idea, and I think it was really Reagan that started it, but this whole idea that like we can become a service economy and we can just push all of the manufacturing elsewhere was a bad idea. You need to have a little bit of everything. You need to be balanced. Like in the national security interests of the country, you need to have a healthy industry in everything. Yeah, I'd be really careful about following anybody on their stream, right? Like I try to stress to you guys so much, right? Why do I do this? I do this because I love trading and I want to interact with other people that love trading, and I want to work together to continually develop edge. When I first started doing this, I knew a lot about the markets, and I think I started out doing really well from the beginning because I had a couple of advantages, but at the same time, I didn't know hardly anything compared to what I do now, and I made a lot of mistakes, right? I just started out because it was just a log of my trading, right? But there are a lot of streams that turn into, hey, we're going to get into this stock. Are you guys all ready? Let's buy the thing or whatever. He's already in it. And the way that he's making money is from y'all buying it. And I think that people come in with this idea that like, well, okay, like we're only like 100 traders here following him. That's not going to impact things, but it freaking does. Okay. Just remember, orders have way higher impact than you think. So be careful about any stream where it seems like you're following them, right? Don't come into this stream and go, okay, Seth bought the Treasury, so I'm supposed to buy the Treasury. That's not how this works. I'm going to trade my thing and you can trade your thing, and we can kind of share information back and forth and we can collaborate. But I don't want you to follow me. I don't want to be making money just because you guys bought in after me. That's no fun. Anyways. For you, Captain Price, I'm honestly, because I'm kind of watching around. You watch so many streams, and like I'm a little concerned for you. Like, why do you spend so much time watching other people and concerning yourself about what they're doing instead of just doing your thing? Because it seems like you have a thing. You sound really confident about it. Okay, so here's the open. Okay, so a little bit of selling in DWAC on the open, but let's just see how this goes. Did they just halt it? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Yep, halted. Wow. Oh wait, how much volume? That wasn't even that much volume. Curious. So somebody is coming out aggressive selling right out of the gate. I wish that I had all my tools to see like market buying versus market selling and so on and so forth. It's a reflection of this market. Well, I think that there's been way better examples than the whack. So you know what's kind of funny about the whack is that there is like a whole slew of ticker symbols now. I think the other big one, the largest one is PHUN, fun. That one is also moving. And they're all kind of like trying to attach themselves to DWAC. Yeah. And, like DWAC is a fundamental play makes sense, right? Donald Trump is doing a high risk way of going to market to try and raise a lot of money to start a social media company. At the moment, there doesn't appear to actually be any real company, right? So that's really high risk, right? Because how do you know that they're going to make a good company? You don't. There's not a whole lot of information that you can know. But there's been other things in this market that there's tons and tons of information to know, and it's just objectively a bad play, and people are buying it up. But in those ones, usually it was like a short covering rally or some idea like that. Yeah. So just to give you an example, I'm really not a fan of this. So when you come and you look at what they're saying about Dwack on Twitter, okay, of course they halt Dwack immediately at Open Clown, right? They're concerned that the halts depress sentiment in Dwack and what cause it to sell is what's going on there. They're concerned about that. Now, I mean, it doesn't help because it doesn't help when the retail traders that want to buy, you know, because they just kind of sit out. That's for sure. But ultimately, what is going to move price if there are more, you know, what the orders do? If all these retail traders come out and buy with market orders, it's going to move up. It's going to move up, right? But when you read these guys in Dwack, they don't talk about anything like that. It's just like hold the line, and I don't know. The way that they talk is just not. It's not what I like to see. They aren't necessarily the people that I want at my side in battle, you know. Anyways. So he says he's done. Treasuries, do you see, man? Like, we had that big market sell at 09, and look at how aggressively it's come back. We could have made $20 off of that move. No way that I would have seen that happening, though. I mean, that was not even close to on my radar. Somebody responding to my tweet from a really long time ago. Cool. Diamond hands. Yeah, that's really what it all comes down to, is they're like, they think that if everybody just buys and holds it, then that's going to be the thing that, you know, helps. And I mean, I guess in the larger scheme of things, that is true. That if all the people that already bought hold it, don't sell, and a bunch of more sellers come in, then price will probably move up, right? It's just that, like, that's not a strategy, right? It's not a strategy. We need to have a strategy is, I think that more buy orders are going to be coming in today because Donald Trump Jr. was interviewed about it on Fox News last night. You know, something like that. Okay, so after the halt, a little bit more selling, but it definitely looks a little bit more, should we say, constrained? I lost my little, hold on a second. Where's my, yeah. I'll just do this and do this. Okay. Okay, so wow, they've already traded 14 million shares. And it looks like price is stabilized here at 104. See, they all think this is so criminal when everything gets halted. Like, no, it's based on the price move, right? If it moves 10% in a certain amount of time, then it gets halted, guys. Nah, I don't know. And it wouldn't make sense to just go in and, like, you know, dump as everything that you can on it so that it drops 10% just like that. That wouldn't benefit you. You'd too much probability of it just flying back in your face. Now, Dwack may be suffering from the negative overall sentiment from the market because they all seem down. And you can see
Block.
Jay trying to do bottom fishing. You can see there's some block buying in the Treasury here. So they're definitely moving because of, how do we say, they must be moving from risk off sentiment. And they're saying the options chain is dead because of the halts. Do you think that Ross is not legit? Well, I guess I don't really have a strong opinion. I would be concerned about any venture where it seems like you're just following somebody else's play. Which appears to be happening over there. So I think that the money that I think that they are making real money over there. I mean, they post like broker statements and stuff. I just think you got to be skeptical about like that you'll be able to duplicate his success using his methods. See, all these people that because it's halted, it's corrupt. No, it's not. It's just if it moves 10% in a minute, then it gets halted. Treasury just does not. Sorry, the E-mini just does not look happy today. So it'd be lovely for Dwack to just be like, skyrocketing here. But that might be too hard for that to happen when the rest of the market is down. I keep seeing this reply to me on Twitter where somebody was looking at the Gary Norton interview and they're saying, "Oh, I need to watch this." But he was saying it would be interesting to see if he has come around to this style of trading. Oh, he was once against your brand of market making / scalping. Well, I could be like some education source courses. I mean, for the right person, it's fairly priced. I mean, how do you price education? You really can't, right? You really can't. All I know is that you can be successful without buying somebody's course. And you can fail and having bought their course. It's a little hot in here today. Does that mean that his skill is to stream his trades and make people buy into his trades and pick the price up for him? Well, that's what a lot of people think is happening. And I think it is probably a strong possibility, yeah. I've never watched his stream or looked at any of his stuff, so I can't say that I know that from firsthand, but that's certainly a lot of people, especially when he comes up on Reddit. There's a lot of people saying that. Well, so far it seems to be going okay. I mean, yeah, it's down, but it's stable, and that's what I'm more interested in over there on DWAC is if their liquidity comes in and if it stabilizes and so I think that some of these retail traders are probably pretty skittish and don't want to buy when it's going down. Now on the split side, the S&P 500 may be reversing here, so that might help. By the way, see oil kind of moving around a bit here. Pointed down. Gold's moving up here a little bit. The dollar has come off quite a bit from its highs. We'll see that one, hard to know where it goes. What is a realistic expectation to keep in percentage to earn per month? I think that when you're just starting out, it's not realistic to think about those sorts of things at all. When you're just starting out, if you can come out break even or break even after fees, I would consider that a success. You know, and as you trade, you're going to see what your risk tolerance is and what you can do with the tools that you have, and you'll be able to determine for yourself what you can make. But what a lot of people do is that they come in and they say, well, I want to do this day trading thing, but I don't know if I can make a living from it. And well, the reality is that 95% of people cannot make a living from doing it. So it's not really very wise or realistic to go into it at the very beginning with like that kind of idea in mind, because what you're going to do is you're just going to size up bigger than you really can, and you're going to lose a lot of money and blow up. Now, just trade the smallest amount that you can and try to trade as well as you can and get as good as you can. And then if you get good at it, that point will come at which you might be able to make money, and you'll know exactly what to do and what numbers you need to hit and stuff. Maybe open a window. You know, I would open the window, except for that it's been like really windy out there. So if they were to like close above previous bar's high, I think that could what was it? 103.88. Had to close above that, then I think that things would probably or not probably, but could turn up. Are you allergic to wind? Okay, you've never seen the wind in Centerville, Ace. If I opened up the window, you would hear it, and it would be blowing stuff around. Like it's like 40-50 mile an hour winds. Like we took everything out of the backyard. Iger says it was crude driven. Well, okay. I mean, I don't know about that. I think it's probably better that I just not go back there and mess with it. Something I'm not realizing. We're talking in the interest rates channel that move might have been because of oil. Igor thinks that it was because of oil. I'm not sure I can find the supporting evidence for that, other than that they did seem to move at the same time. But you got to realize that oil is just moving so much right now. So the IV on Dwack is insane, I bet. So this open in Dwack is not bad. You know, up 10%. You're wearing your new t-shirt that says nobody cares about your Bitcoin. You know what's weird to me? I've met a lot of people that hold a lot of Bitcoin and are presumably rich because of the amount of Bitcoin that they own. But I've never met anybody that has sold a lot of Bitcoin and is rich because of how much Bitcoin they've sold. Do you know what I mean? Like they actually took their profits. It seems to me like they'll all get in on the run and then they don't get out when it crashes and they lose it all. Oh man. Some of these people just put ridiculous amounts. Where do people get this money to just YOLO into these options plays? And by the way, the Treasury is still just right up there at the highs. Let's reset that. Let's move this down like that, and let's get rid of the volume because it's not really telling us anything. Okay, we'll do it like that. That way we can see the Treasury. I'm not going to put any orders in the micros, so look at that. They're just not stopping, are they? Now, is that a reach? No, it's not. They're above previous 2 days high. So next set of prices, we get into like 23, 24 area. Well, I didn't see anything interesting there. I don't know. I don't know about that one. Reading some Bitfinex stuff. You move this over to here. So I can kind of keep tabs on Dwack a little bit better on Twitter. Look at that. The Treasury already up another 3 ticks. NASDAQ trader says, to be honest, I am a fly. Now I'm starting to see gold really take off. That's interesting. Gold at 1810 now. Your wife bought a $2,000 vacuum? Or was it a, what brand was it? There's some people buying the 150 strikes in Dwack. Gosh. Rainbow something, it pulls the intake through water. The reviews were decent. I couldn't find anything wrong with that. Oh, okay. I ended up having to buy one of those, water-based carpet cleaners because the dogs are just always freaking peeing on the floor. This dog, he's old. He's too old. He doesn't care anymore. Okay, so the S&P 500 is rising here. It's a pretty good recovery so far. The Treasury is still way up there, though. NASA made the hose for them. I felt that some of the bear action last week was a bit much, maybe. Just some of that unwinding. In the end, it looks like a really, really strong looking trend in the Treasury.
Block sell.
I can't remember the other exaggerated claims he made, but I called him on them. I tell you what, the whole marketing thing is just like, it's everywhere I look, I just see people using dishonest marketing. Yeah. Well, people on DWAC are mostly concerned about the halts are hurting their stock. I don't think that's really the case. I don't like the halts, but I don't think that manipulates it. Salespeople use stories. Yeah, you know what? People telling a story really seems to catch people's attention. When I find a good story on TikTok that people tend to watch. The 6J moved pretty strongly on that move up, by the way. So very closely correlated with, well, I mean, the Treasury and the 6J started moving before the S&P 500 opened. Okay, so there's DWAC very quickly all of a sudden moving to new lows. Good question, but does anyone know the difference between the volume calculated on the footprint and the volume calculated on the volume profile for the DOM? You notice they have different numbers? Well, do you have a volume profile that is split between buys and sells? Was your footprint calculated using tick replay, or was it live? Were they on the same data feeds? I mean, they could differ slightly. No, combined, it's live, same data feed. Well, so are you saying that when you add the prices that come up on your footprint together, that it doesn't equal what's on the volume profile? Like what's on your jigsaw volume profile, rather? Well, I mean, it's not unusual for them to differ a little bit, especially if it's like you're watching like a footprint in NinjaTrader and the volume profile on Jigsaw, just because the way that they determine whether something is a buy or a sell is based on what the bid ask was at that time. And the platforms might interpret when the bid ask changed slightly differently, and it could be by even a few milliseconds, and it could change it, right? So it shouldn't be like a huge difference, but basically inferring trade direction in fast markets can be a little difficult. What is the stamped bid and ask? Well, so right now, the best bid is 130.19 half, and the best ask is 130.20. So if a volume comes in and it's at 20, then we say it's a buy. And if a volume comes in at 19 half, then we say it's a sell, because that's the best bid, right? But what happens if we tick down and now the best bid is 19 and the best ask is 19 half, right? Well, there could be some volume at 19 half, and if the bid and ask is changing really quickly, whether it's counted as buy or sell is just going to depend on what that 19 half was at that exact moment. And the level 2 is not exactly synced to the orders, so it's possible for orders to get misclassified in that kind of situation, where some orders at 19 half will be buy and some will be sell, and it wasn't correct, just because of a slight difference between the level 2 and when the orders came through. because they're like separate data feeds. That makes sense. Okay, DWAC down to 90. So that actually puts it down from Friday now. See, I wonder if there's just people trying to pile on with shorts in the options. That could be, I mean, that could create a really interesting situation though. I've never heard of that, NASDAQ trader. So the action in DWAC right now, I'm not going to say like it's the end of the world, but it is not very encouraging because, I think that a lot of the buyers were really looking to see some, like a lot more people coming in this morning. And I'm not sure that I'm really seeing that. Like the volume numbers are not crazy or anything, and it has moved. It was kind of lackadaisical, and then it took a little step lower. That doesn't mean that it can't like jump back up, but I'm not sure that the crazy Monday like they had with GameStop is happening right now, right? So Treasury is balancing around 19.5 pretty well now. I don't know if that would come back. I don't know what the Treasury is going to do today, man. This is some pretty weird action in the 10-year. By the way, they never made like a pivot low. They might do it here. They might be doing it here. They can just close a little bit higher here. Yeah, I mean, that's close. I'm going to say it's close enough. Seems that my chart here does not... Wait, what am I doing? Oh, I have a 5-minute chart. Okay. That means we still got another 2 minutes or so. U.S.-Iran envoy, the nuclear talks are at a critical phase. Feeling a little sleepy here. So we got about an hour left. I'm still just thinking here about the Treasury. I mean, I I definitely missed a lot of opportunity. I wasn't really looking to make any plays today. It's Monday, light news. I mean, we do get Dallas Fed Manufacturing Index at the bottom of the hour. That could be important, but this move, I was kind of unexpected for me. So I don't know. Is that a good reason for me to just stay out of the Treasury today? Or is it that they're going to come back? I don't know, man. I'm getting that feeling like there could be some opportunity. I need to do something. You know what I mean? Somebody seems to be trying to stop it. Okay, that's good. That's a pivot low. I still don't understand why you guys bother telling me what other traders are doing. Why do you tell me that? No offense. I mean, I don't want to be mean. It's just I get this feeling like you guys think that I care, and I don't really want to know what other traders are doing. I mean, maybe afterwards it's interesting, but while I'm doing things, it's like I'm gonna do what my strategies and what my information says to do, right? Lewis says 2K on the Z and 3K on the ES out, and now talk about that. Well, are you just talking about how we had like big block orders at both sides of this massive move in the Treasury? There was some guys selling down here, and there was some guys buying up at 18, and it's pretty... this is like a lot of activity for the 10-year, isn't it? So I don't. So they're saying oil. Now, no, oil had like a big move down. Oil had a big move down, and that's when Treasuries moved up. Now, oil has recovered that and are pretty close to the highs of the day again, and the Treasuries haven't moved at all. $20 contracts each side. So did you really take 20 contracts on that each side? Because if you got that, if you caught some of that downside and then you caught that upside, like, good for you. What? Italian flight attendants stripped to their underwear to protest job losses? Story on the Hill. This is pertinent to my interests. Because my wife is a flight attendant. Wait, what? I'm not going to show the video, but on the Hill they have a video of it, and they're all taking off their jackets very, very slowly. Whoa, wait. You were trading one contract, then 5, now 20. So you sized up that quickly, huh? Well, how big of a move was it again? From 10 to 20? So was it 20 tick move? Nah, it's not bad. Let's see here. News comes after Alitalia ceased its operations and ITA Airways took its place as national carrier in Italy. However, not everyone from Alitalia was able to get a job with the new airline. Oh, that sucks. My wife's a flight attendant, and my conclusion is that it's a poor industry to go into. They really take advantage of you. Okay, 20. When markets move, yeah, but like when I size up, I would be like, for a 20 tick move, I would maybe size up to like 2 or 3 contracts, not 20. You know what I mean? I mean, did you have the margin? If you had started with 20, how much extra margin would you have had? Because that's like $10,000, right? Like for me to feel comfortable doing something like that, I would need to be in the $50,000 to $100,000 account, something like that. I don't know. I'm not going to sit and do the math, but when you're saying that, you make it sound like you made so much on the move up and you just kept sizing up and up and up and up. Well, okay, so he says he does have a large account. That's fair enough. That's fair enough. But then the other question is, do you just reflexively size up as you have a move your way, or was there something about that move that made you size up particularly strong? Because I just think that there are interesting moves here in the Treasuries. We've had a lot of, some of them I've caught. Maybe I'm just not paying attention to it well enough today, because some of these I have caught. But, like that was a pretty good swing both ways here this morning that I did not anticipate at all. I haven't done anything. I kind of came in thinking I don't think that they're going to do very much, and I don't really want to put on any risk, and I'm not feeling super hot. Anyways, listening to you helps, really. Thank you. I'll listen then, eh? But I didn't really say anything about it this morning, though. I mean, there was the big orders and everything, but Jay this morning was not a good day for him. I mean, it's not like a huge loser day for him, but he did not catch very much of that reversal at all. I'm wondering how much of his edges are really that is a good signal, and how much of it is just, being against the trend on longs. Oh, you say strength in the ZN, or you mentioned gold and oil, and I picked ES and ZN. Oh, so you got into it when it had already moved up quite a bit then. I got you. So that's another thing that I think is really interesting was like at 14, for instance. So like we could come back to 14 when they were like pushing new highs. There is no way that I would have predicted that they'd come all the way up to 20. Like that was a pretty bender move. And there was some heavy volume behind it too. Yeah, let's hear all the way from -80 to -50. So 30,000 contracts net buying in that. A large meta order for sure. Post, and coming back a little bit post meta order impact, I think, yeah. But why? I mean, I do see the correlation with oil and with the dollar and everything moving up, but I almost kind of wonder if they were all doing it because of the move that the Treasury did. Yeah, it could be. I don't know. I think that this here again, I mean, it's definitely a large meta order. So we definitely want to try and figure out why. But so far, I don't necessarily see anything that really suggests to me that order flow was informed. You know what I mean? You say strength in the ZN or mentioned gold. They picked it. And oil, I picked ES and the ZN. Order flow, and I take advantage of your expertise. Oh, thank you very much, Lewis. So wait, what is your area of expertise then? How did you... I just find it really bizarre that like I said that I didn't do anything based off of it, and you took a really great trade. That's really interesting. Check your phone. I haven't gotten anything yet. Oh, here it is. Oh, you got the picture. Nobody cares. You should email. I don't know if people can see it. It says nobody cares about your Bitcoin, and the Bitcoin is in the kind of the golden green color. That's good. I really need to make my technical analysis as horoscopes for men. I need somebody to. I need a designer to make a good design for us. Oh, Dallas Fed is going to be speaking? Oh, no, they're not that. They're just talking about the manufacturing index. Yes. Okay. Well, that's in about 8 minutes that we get the Dallas Fed manufacturing index. We're also going to get New York Fed Treasury purchases 22.5 to 30 years. So that is a good theory as well. I didn't even mention that. I like the other day you mentioned WAC, your trade was awesome. Yeah, that was. I mean, here's the problem with the WAC. Where do you get out? I don't know if it's over. I mean, well, it kind of seems like the main hype is over. Can they maintain these prices? I don't know. It gets interesting when you try and game it out, doesn't it? If Dwack had another strong close, then tomorrow could be really crazy. But what's going to create that strong close today? I don't know if I'm seeing it right now. Right now, it kind of feels like they're balanced. Like they moved up. They've decided that $100 is fair, and maybe I should just use the same lyric. Oh my gosh, that's the shirt that Ace sent me. Would you like me to pull your astrological chart? I can tell you your sun, moon, and rising sign, and we can check Venus in your 2nd and 8th house, dude. Right? She's being totally serious here too. Maybe you should pull up all of that information for Donald Trump and we can use that as the basis of what's going to happen. What's this? Just reading here to see if I can, like when I read the people talking about the whack on Twitter and Reddit, like I don't see anybody posting anything informational. It's all just hype, basically. It's all like cheerleading, which that's kind of the thing that I'm over here in Dwack is like, well, I would really like to see if it really ends up coming to fruition. Oh, that's cool. But in the short term, probably things kind of die out, and I'm not like it. Maybe that's already happened. Maybe. Igor says, can't imagine much action unless the yen breaks. Igor has been trading some pretty big clips too. We're getting some big fish here in the treasuries. You were not always. I don't think you were a super huge fish when you first came in here, were you, Lewis? I don't recall anymore. You know what? It's kind of getting to the point where your brain can only hold 100 people. I'm gonna have to start writing down notes about you guys. Drag reason high is 175 and reason low is 68, and you're at 94 now. You're good, right? I don't know if that really sounds like the kind of well, that's interesting. Okay. Because what you said makes me think that you pay very much attention to what the prices are. On October 1st, 2016, Giancarlo Davicini claimed he thought about watch trading Bitcoin on Bitfinex. He claims that he decided not to allow this. They also claimed Tether to be fully backed by dollars, and that turned out to be a lie. So they probably lied about watch trading. There you go. Well, markets are getting pretty quiet now, aren't they? Well, because we get the news, right? Oh, I totally forgot. 2 minutes, and we get the news. So this, I think those treasury purchases is going to come through, and we'll see if the treasuries react hard to it. That might be the clue that we needed to, Now, on the same hand, if that move up was because of the Fed Treasury purchases, then maybe we could move back down after the news. Let's see here. I have been seeing a lot of news today about Tesla, but this guy is saying that there was big news that it moved it. What is the big news in Tesla? This guy, I tried to buy stocks for the first time in my life, but DWAC is not available for Canadian customers. Oh. Looks like DWAC might be running into an iceberg sell order there at 95 or so. Oh, the Hertz, I did see that. Oh, okay, that did not dawn on me when I read that headline that was what there was. So Hertz is going to order 100,000 Tesla cars. Yeah, that is good news for them, huh? Okay, so there is. I'm not seeing like a move here in the Treasury. Yeah, options are now active in DWAC. Now that one I'm kind of interested. How should the options in DWAC affect the future price action in DWAC? Because it seems like you can use the options to both pump and to go short it, right? Like having the options does kind of help if you want to go short to kind of hedge yourself, hedge your downside risk and all that. But then people also buy the out of the money calls on it moving up. So which side wins on that one? I'm not sure. I know. But that gets me back to the thing that's like, maybe 100 is just an okay price here. And I don't know if we stay here or if we retrace back to 55, and that if we wanted to make another new all-time high, that we would have to have like good news to do it, right? I could be wrong. They could just turn up here and it's be all up from here today, and I don't know. I'm feeling a little sleepy today. I did not sleep well last night. Maybe my did I forget to take my medication yesterday? That could maybe do it. That might explain a few things. Oracle switches from deal maker to deal breaker. The Department of State tweets, bold action to tackle the climate crisis is more urgent than ever. Learn more. I think you gotta keep an eye on that one. So this looks like inverse. This looks like the inverse sine law at action at work here, right? So move down here, and then because of that, it was not difficult at all for them to move it through. And typically, they'll move it further on when they come back across it. And if they close above the high of this bar, which is something like what is it, 98.05. So they're just dancing back and forth across it. Now they've got like 2.5 minutes. Not that it matters, but that's just like, that's the way that the chartists are going to be looking at it, right? It gets higher, then that could be something that could be read as a low, right? We're clearly a technology company. Bank of America CEO Brian Moynihan says we spend about $3.5 million a year on new code implementation, new products, and services driven by technology. If we're not a technology company, we can't be in business. Well, that's certainly true, because you know that the CEO of Goldman Sachs, he came from the technology side. It was very unusual when he came over, and I think that they moved him over to technology, and then he moved back and whatever. Did you watch the GameStop SEC report video? No, I didn't see that you posted that. Let me come in. I'll just make sure I see what you're talking about. No, I don't even see what you're talking about, Trade Trotter. Oh, wait. Oh, I have a Meme Stops channel still, huh? Oh, I've not seen. How did I miss that video? You talking about the one by Patrick Boyle? Yeah, I'll watch that. I mean, I did read a lot about the SEC report. There was some interesting stuff in it, I guess. I don't know. I'll have to see what he says about it. Is there something in that you find particularly interesting? In the end, it seems to me that Robinhood screwed everybody. That we would have made $1,000 if it was not for Robinhood. Oh, wow. I got a lot of comments on my YouTube today, it looks like. Oh, the summary of it wasn't a gamma squeeze. It wasn't an option squeeze, etc. It was purely a ton of retail that caused it. Okay, so I do recall seeing that, but there was a large hedge fund whatever that had to cover, right? And that was probably that one day, like that move that was late on Monday or whatever it was. But to the point, like this is the thing that I keep trying. It's like nobody believes me, guys. You have no idea how much impact your orders have, right? And yeah, can a couple of people, like, can a chat room of people getting all hype about one stock and all deciding to get in on the stock at the same time move the price of something? It absolutely can. I almost kind of wonder if people like are intentionally downplaying this because they don't want people to figure that out. Because can you imagine what would happen if like all retail traders were trying to game the markets in that kind of manner? Like, it would be absolute chaos. And it's not good for the market makers, right? They lose out on that. But you know, you turn around and you get something, you know, just a few people could have that impact, and then you expand that to something really as viral as GameStop. Really as viral as GameStop was, yeah, it can just pop off. And that's, you know, I think a big part of what's going on here in DWAC, right, is Donald Trump. There's going to be a lot of people interested in it just because of that. Is it the same true on either side? It is, for sure. But in stocks, retail traders mostly just buy. They don't go short things, right? So I only brought it up because WAC is the next meme stock. So for right now, I would think any normal TA could be in play the more retail is involved. Well, yeah. So again, the issue with the issue with technical analysis. So there's this idea that, like, okay, if it's technical analysis and we just formed a higher low here, then that should result in, pivot low, and they'll start to turn up from here, right? And we could say, because that's the sort of thing that retail traders tend to look at, that the retail traders will buy, right? But what happens is, like, you only make money on a signal like that if you get in it early, right? Like if it's a cross of a moving average, or let's use this example. Let's use this as an example. Okay. So we had a move down, a little bit of a recovery, another move down, and then enough of a recovery to actually finally create like a real pivot. Okay. Now I'm using a rule here that most retail traders aren't using, but it's one that I've done a lot of study on and I find kind of interesting. Okay, so that's why I'm using it. So here, when this bar closes above the high of the previous bar, that means that that's a pivot low right there. Okay, so there's a pivot low, and then right here there's a pivot low. Okay, so there's 1, 2, so that means that we should go higher, right? So question, if that's the strategy, is we get a higher pivot low, at what point do you take the trade? Okay, well, you need to have the bar close above the previous bar's high, right? So in order for us to know that the condition was met, this bar has to close, right? So at the moment, if we had taken it, if we were taking a trade based off of that, we basically would be long something like 96.5 or whatever it is, right? Okay. Now, if a bunch of retail traders know that strategy and they're going to buy because of it, right? Aren't they all going to buy when this bar closes? So shouldn't that mean that like the next bar after that should be like gangbusters long, right? But really, it would be way better if you just knew, okay, actually it looks like they're gonna move up and close above and make a pivot high, and that's really good. So maybe I want to buy it here, right? And then it's almost like, you're gonna go further and further back until all of a sudden this dip doesn't even exist, and then it goes like that, But then it's going to go up earlier and earlier and earlier because more and more retail traders are trading it and taking it earlier until, like, again, like this move just didn't happen. It didn't move down, whatever. It gets taken out, and then at that point, like, how early can you take it at which it's not a thing anymore? You know what I mean? And so the reality of that is what happens is people do try to trade on that sort of a thing, but as the metagame progresses, it turns into noise simply because of the people trying to trade it, right? So I wouldn't try and look at it as like, oh, I'm looking for retail to get in a certain way. What I would keep an eye on is that the more momentum that we start to see, probably the more interested that the retail traders will be in, right? So like right here is probably a great example. If they're able to get above this line right here, we could start to see some momentum, and if they go for the 12, this could end up just turning into an absolutely zany move again, right? And it could do that very, very easily. Okay, so be really careful about technical analysis, because like there's a whole metagame to it, and the result of it is it just turns into random. Not that you can't make money from playing that game, it's just probably not the best game to play, right? But I also think, going back to the original subject, GameStop is unique because of the attitude of the traders, right? Like, there were a lot of people that were buying simply to just stick it to the hedge funds, supposedly, right? Because it was a short squeeze and all of this sort of a thing. There was a lot of people putting big amounts of money that it seems to me like they really shouldn't be risking, and they all had this attitude of, you need to buy it and hold it to squeeze out the shorts in order to get the big move that we want, right? That is a very different kind of, to compare that to the way that I analyze something over the next, 15 minutes here until the close of this session, or let's just say today. What are the orders going to look like? Are we going to see a lot of market buyers come in and push price up? What's going to happen? That's what we're trying to predict orders. Predict orders, you can predict price. It's completely different from what these retail traders tell you. Or even, let's go like more traditional, what is the fundamentals of the company? What are their numbers going to be? It wasn't like that with GameStop. Like, GameStop is still kind of like in dire straits. Even after that whole GameStop thing, I'm not too sure that their like business plan is going to work out. You know what I mean? It's just completely different. It's like this whole thing that is like, we're going to make money just from being stupid rather than from taking advantage of an informational inefficiency in the market. It's a very different thing. And yeah, what does that prove? Well, it proves that people can buy for irrational reasons, and it can move price significantly. More interest as momentum increases. That's definitely happens with the meme stocks. I mean, that's definitely what you're going to be looking for in the WAC, at least, right? Is if the WAC starts to pick up momentum today, it could just turn zany again. Yeah, most retail traders don't know how to short. I think that a lot of these guys don't even know that shorting is a thing, or even know if their platform allows it. Some of the people trading in DWAC might not even know what a short is. The guys in GameStop, they all know what a short is, right? Because they're trying to squeeze the shorts. Also makes you wonder, though. This whole thing, like, maybe there is still a lot of shorts to cover. I don't know. Well, I need to go back and read it again, because there was some companies that did cover some shorts and stuff, and probably caused some big meta orders that I think you could identify on the intraday charts that move things up. So I don't think that it would be accurate to say that it was only retail traders. But I do think there are a bunch of people out there saying, well, like, retail traders can't move things. Like, there has to be some big fish actually making this happen, and you're all just helping us know. The retail traders absolutely can. And in fact, because of the way that the robots work, it may be the case that the retail traders have even more impact than they should, because all of the retail traders getting in at the same time, the robot reads that as they must have news, they must know something, and pulls its liquidity. So orders have impact, guys. Impact is greater than you realize. Take the new number. Just like, this has a 0.001% impact on the market, or whatever that number is that you think it is, and now times that by 5, and that's the actual impact. Well, they're getting a pretty good set of candles here. They haven't gotten above that 101 or so, 102. Pulled the video Oh, hey, look at that. Oh, that's really good. So you'd have to really bring up a good chart of it to go back and see when the large meta orders that we could really clearly see on the chart. We have 5 minutes. Let's come here. We go to trading view. I go to GMME, the stock, GameStop on the NYSE, hide the range estimate, and yeah, we'll just go back all the way to February. Oh, 205. That's way back behind. We want to see like on I think it was more like the 27th, the 28th. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, there was. Oh, but that's interesting that it was actually the more of the short covering was on the 25th and 26th. Ah. Well, that is curious. So this one right here, I saw that for sure. We were watching the chart and I'm like, this is a meta order. Like there's probably somebody shortened because it just seems like it's just going up and up and up and up and up. Right. But it's interesting to me that there was more. Oh, okay. It's not the blue. It's the little red. It's the little bits of red. Okay. So the 27th, yes. So we saw all of this, and then yeah, I was like, the first trade is the best trade. I think it's over, and so after the 28th, I got out and just left it alone. So then you start coming over into the second and third. Oh, now the second and third was when a lot of. Now how is that possible? So the second and third was like, oh, okay. This was like when it fell back, and so retail traders were just slamming into it at that point, all the way up until the 5th, where we had that little thing. I don't know, man. That's a little crazy. How did the price fall back down like that with that much buying then? Unless there was some shorts that were really going short there at that point. I don't know. That doesn't completely fit, to be honest with you. Well, I have to go watch more. Guess I have to go and look at more of it. Oh, Treasury's still up there. That looks like that would have been a good spot to try and get through there. There does appear to be a little bit of resistance at 102, 103 or so, but I'm not necessarily seeing like hyper aggressive order flow per se, like period where like the buying there's just absolutely zany. So I'm looking at all of this. I probably we just have to read it as noise. What about some of these other assets? Let's see here. Oil recovered and now has moved down even lower. Oil, man, you could have made some money in oil if you caught all of those swings, but you would lose money. The bigger thing is that I'm just not. The thing that about this meme stock is like I would think that like a long-term play, that's possible. This thing could go to like $1,000, right? It's totally possible, But I just don't feel comfortable with the people that are in this with me. You know what I mean? Like when I go and I read what these people are saying, I'm like, no, these people don't have a freaking clue what's going on. Maybe that's a good thing, and it means that they won't sell. But come on. Well, we'll see what happens. I don't know. I might do something with it. I might just relax. But no trades for me over in the Treasuries, even though today was a pretty good move up in the Treasuries. I wish I hadn't missed that. Could have been worth like what, $20-$30, but there's no way that I was going to see that coming. So maybe tomorrow. We got some news later in the week, so I think we'll have plenty of opportunities this week. Hopefully, Wednesday, Thursday, I'm going to feel a lot better than I do today. Today, I'm still feeling a little sleepy and tired because of my intestines are just all lots of inflammation down there. So, okay, guys, what should we put in today's stream title? Treasuries make strong head fake higher. That's the kind of move that we got, and there's nothing else super crazy but in the title. Hey guys, thank you very much. 17 concurrent viewers and 15 likes, so yeah, I'll click in that like button. I really appreciate it. I will see you guys tomorrow, and in the meantime, stay profitable, friends.